Hi guys, today is the 21st of May and it's 1:16 in the morning over here in the UK, and I just want to talk to you very quickly about a different take on the iPad Go-To video that I've been thinking about recently, and it's to do with cryptocurrency. I'm sure you've heard about it. I've done a couple of screenshots and I'm just going to quickly talk about them, and then the video will be over. So here we go. In this opening scene, we have the goat with the barcode on his head, and we have the blocks spelling out the word iPad goat. I've never looked at it this way before, but the blocks are in a chain, which is literally telling you about blockchain. Now, blockchain is the technology that cryptocurrency runs on. There's various different types. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I think that this video is not only telling us about earthquakes and volcanoes, tsunamis, and other things, but also telling us about this new financial system that's coming in, that's actually being implemented as we speak. A lot of people are investing into this particular technology, believing it will make them wealthy, and it potentially will, but I feel they have a plan to not allow you to be able to spend your money or sell anything to get money without that mark, without that system, without you being part of that system. The mark of the beast, the mark on the forehead or in the hand, is something that is coming. A lot of biometric companies and technologies are being worked on right now, and I believe they will be connected with the blockchain system and cryptocurrencies, and that will restrict people from spending. I mean, you could potentially become a millionaire, billionaire, but you can't access it unless you have this. And how many people will cave to the system in order to become what they've always wanted, which is wealthy? I don't think there's many people I can speak to that wouldn't be happier with a bit more money in their bank, and what some people would be willing to do to get that. Shocking. So putting that aside, unfortunately I've taken a screenshot on this particular frame which has the blocks covering the dog at the back, which I wanted to talk about, but I'll talk about it anyway. Some of you are familiar with this dog. It basically has lines coming out of its mouth, a cartoon way of showing that the dog is barking, and it has the word woof coming out of the mouth there. I think this may connect to a cryptocurrency called Dogecoin. It's in the name, Dodge the coin. Some people call it Dogecoin or Doggy coin. I call it Dogecoin, for obvious reasons. Dodge it. And try and dodge all these coins. I mean, I have to say I have dabbled in it myself, but this message is as much for me as it is for you, that we should be more aware of the things that we're doing, and I'll take that on board for myself as well. But in terms of Dogecoin, the next frame is going to show the token. There it is, and you can see it's just a dog, but the whiskers they've done are coming off to the side, so that's very similar to the image of the dog in the iPad Go-To video on that wooden box, with the lines coming out of his mouth to show that he's barking, or to indicate that he's barking. And then we have, not all of the images you'll find on Google have this wow on the DOGE doggy coin token, but this one does, and you'll find many that do, and that could very easily be connected to the woof that is written next to the dog's mouth there to show it's barking. So I think that's potentially one cryptocurrency that they show in this video. Moving on, just very quickly, sidebar, in this scene, the ring that the creature is wearing is a $sign, but it's also in gold. It's also a snake, so it's all very evil, manipulative. I think the snake obviously gives you that reference to the Garden of Eden, that kind of deceptive serpent kind of thing. But I think it's also saying that the United States will be tying the dollar back to the gold. Back to the gold. Excuse me for my grammar today. Let's try that again. I believe that United States will be tying the dollar to gold in the future. That will probably increase the price of gold, or they will set the price of gold to be a higher price. associated with the dollar. Right now, the dollar's under a bit of a attack with, China, Russia, and everyone kind of getting together, forming this BRICS nation, which want to use different currencies to trade in rather than the dollar, which obviously is, not something the United States is going to accept lying down. But it does appear that a new system is coming in, one based on blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. So in this scene, I think one of the cryptocurrencies that will be helping that system to come in is a token called XRP. It's represented by the letter X, which you'll see in the next frame after I finish talking about this one. But the way that they've done it, they've put the X on the mouth. And right now, if you look online and you kind of try and research about XRP, there's a lot of hush-hush around it, particularly because the company that kind of is most connected to that cryptocurrency, they're called Ripple. They're currently in a lawsuit with the Security Exchange Commission, which obviously puts like a kind of an air of secrecy and stuff over that whole technology. So at the moment, people aren't really talking about it, but I think once that lawsuit is over, then you're going to be hearing a lot about that particular cryptocurrency, XRP, and the company that is most connected to it, which is Ripple. On the other side of things, we have the circle around the eye, and there is literally a cryptocurrency called Circle. It's a stable coin. The company is called Circle, but the cryptocurrency itself is USDC, which is obviously the United States dollar attached to Circle. It's supposed to remain at a stable value of $1. So if you were trading cryptocurrencies, for example, and you'd made some profit, you could transfer that to a stable coin, which would maintain that profit. So you won't lose anything. You won't gain anything either, but you won't lose anything, unless that stable coin depegged, as they call it, which is basically when it loses its value for some reason. Then obviously you would lose however much the stable coin has lost in percent from your profit or from what you saved in that stable coin. That is all technical. No need for me to go any further with that. So I think that's 2 now, Dogecoin, XRP. So that's all 3 with Circle. So that image that just left you there, that was for XRP there. You can see it was like an X. So that's why I think that possibly could be connected to that. In this scene, we have the LC on the ground. There is a cryptocurrency called LITECOIN, which is like let's say like a little brother to the main cryptocurrency, which everyone should know about, which is Bitcoin. Obviously the LC LITECOIN, I think that's connected, but the actual token LITECOIN is represented by the letter L, so that's why I've said potentially that could be that. Over here, I've done this interpretation before, which is the foot covering a bit of the coin. So when I put that together, I've just got Bitcoin. I've also put an interpretation for Bitcoin being stolen because the toe cap is covered in steel. It's a steel toe cap shoe. So with that altogether, steel toe cap covering a bit of the coin, I've just got steel Bitcoin. So that is still an interpretation I have. Some Bitcoin could be stolen from somewhere, a large amount, which could cause problems. But that's just one interpretation off to the side for now. In the next scene, we should see the image for LITECOIN, which is the L just there, as very similar to the L on the ground in the scene I'm hovering over. Then we move on to what I think may happen with Bitcoin. The other interpretations for the Apple in past videos, they still stand. This is just looking at it from a cryptocurrency interpretation. The Apple splitting in half could be a reference to the Bitcoin halving, which is a process which takes place, I think, every 4 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know about that. I'm not exactly sure what the Bitcoin halving is to explain it to you in a proper way. So I'd suggest you just go on Google, type in Bitcoin halving, and digest what Wikipedia has to tell you. in reference to that. The only other interpretation I have here with the flower coming out the middle, because we've looked at that as a reference for explosions or implosions, maybe a nuclear explosion or something like that. I think it could be representing an explosion of the network or the price around the time of the Bitcoin halving, which really I should have done the research to find out. Maybe I can do that very quickly while I have you here with me. I never do this, actually researching as I'm making the video, so bear with me. Okay, so the next one is in 2024. So if there's something there, maybe that's the kind of time frame we're looking out for in reference to that. Excuse me, just had to burp, my apologies. I think the next scene, the next frame in this scene where it shows Obama's eyes may be connected to that Bitcoin halving network explosion interpretation. The reason I think it may be more connected to the network explosion and not the price explosion is because of the look in Obama's eyes. I'm assuming that these eyes are just representative of all the eyes of people who own Bitcoin and potentially Litecoin, because it is in the scene, but it does appear that it's more connected to Bitcoin than Litecoin. Maybe Litecoin takes over if Bitcoin collapses, I don't know. But here, Obama's eyes, they're very wide open. That's a fearful look. The dark circles around them suggest he hasn't been getting any sleep. And then we have these reflections in the eyes, which I've always just ignored because I've never really looked at them as anything other than maybe detail for the lighting in the room. But it could actually be a reflection of the direction that the price is going. He could be looking at the charts, for example, and seeing that the price is crashing or plunging, as this video likes to use that term, because of something that has happened with the network around the time of the Bitcoin halving. Everyone's expecting the price to go up, and what happens instead is the network explodes. Not literally, you know, not like a physical explosion, a technical explosion. It collapses, it stops working, and people are unable to get their Bitcoin out or transfer it into USD stablecoin money, so they end up losing a lot of or all of their investment, which would obviously make a lot of people fearful, sleepless, especially if it's something that's going on for, you know, a couple of hours or over a couple of days. People trying to get their money out and they can't, and they're just watching the price go down and down and down, and they're staying up night after night trying to get the money out, but they can't. Which obviously in this scene it's not going to play because I haven't got the actual video playing, but a sweat bead comes down, rolls down past his eye, down his cheek there. Obviously in a situation as the one I've just described, I'm sure there would be plenty of people sweating or crying or both. So that's something to watch out for. When it will happen, I can't exactly say, but as I said, the next Bitcoin halving is in 2024, so perhaps that's when we should be looking out for that sort of scenario occurring. Moving on, in this scene, it just reminded me of all the references in this video to water and to liquid, and in the financial world there's something called liquidity, which is so difficult for me to explain because I really don't understand it myself just yet. This is like I'm fresh jumping into this whole world of the financial system, but basically there is a company, as I've explained earlier, called Ripple, which is that company connected with the token XRP, which would be used to transfer money from one country to another. At the moment, very slow and expensive. Apparently they would make it fast and cheap. So they are a big thing in the financial world, and it may be that this scene with the oil dropping into the water, creating that ripple, is just giving us a connection to Ripple and XRP supplying liquidity to the financial market, and that would be extremely necessary if something happened to the dollar, for example, it started to tank because the debt ceiling wasn't raised, or inflation skyrocketed out of control, or something else happened, like the New York Stock Exchange blew up or something like that. I don't know. But Ripple, liquidity, XRP, put it in Google and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go. In this ending scene here, I believe that there's a connection to a token called Ethereum and a connection to a token called Mana, which operates on the Ethereum blockchain. Aside from that, I think the sun also represents a token called Sol, which is obviously another word for sun. The full name of that token is Solana. Solana is the competitor of Ethereum. It's called the Ethereum killer. So if this pyramid here, which is also very similar to the Ethereum token, which I'll just show you now, just so you've got a reference. So if that's the pyramid, if you think about the water would have a reflection of the pyramid below. So I'm filling in that part for myself, but the above part stands as a possible connection to Ethereum. But as you can see, the pyramid, which I believe represents Ethereum, is being destroyed. After that, as the scene continues to play, these two disappear as well. So I think that's symbolizing the destruction of the Ethereum network, as well as tokens like Mana, which is like a virtual reality token, and that leading to Sol or Solana being the main, what they call layer 1 technology instead of Ethereum. Because right now it's Bitcoin and Ethereum as the top two, and this video seems to be suggesting something happening to Bitcoin, so LITECOIN could take over, and something happening to Ethereum, so Solana could take over, and then there's Ripple and XRP in the background doing whatever it plans to do. In connection to the Mana token, this is what it looks like. So you can see the two pyramids and the two suns above. Obviously in the iPetGoat2 video, we don't actually have two suns per se, but we do have two pyramids next to a sun. So that's why I've said, okay, maybe this one is representing Ethereum. Can't see the reflection in the water to say that there's a pyramid below this one, but I imagine there would be. So Ethereum, and then two pyramids and a sun for Mana. They connect together because this one operates on this one's network. So if this one was destroyed, this one would go with it if it didn't migrate to a different blockchain. And then the competitor, Solana, takes over from Ethereum. And things like Mana, maybe they're now built on the Solana blockchain instead of the Ethereum one. That's a bit more of a technical knowledge, and I did that for people who are more invested or interested in cryptocurrency. I do realize that there's probably a lot of people who have invested into it, as I said at the beginning of this video, or maybe didn't, maybe that was in the previous take I did. That I have dabbled in the technology myself. Obviously I'm keen to understand what's coming, and a lot of it has benefits, but there's a lot of it that can be used for the Antichrist system, which is controlling our money, controlling our food supply, controlling everything basically, you know, right down to tracking your carbon footprint, which is a lot of what they talk about in this new world of climate change and carbon emissions. So this new system, this blockchain technology, and all these different tokens doing all these different jobs, they are going to work together in the future to try and control the human population and what we do, even down to what we say and what we think. Maybe in another video I'll start diving into the artificial intelligence side of what's shown in iPetGoat2 video. In the iPetGoat2 video, I haven't looked into it yet, but I'm sure if it's talking about blockchain technology and volcanic eruptions, tsunamis and stuff like that, then artificial intelligence, which is another big thing after blockchain technology, should be in here as well. So I'll be looking for that. Apart from that, it also has reference to meme coins, which are tokens that are traded purely based on hype. They don't really have any value. Now this can be a bit tricky because the first coin I showed you, or the first interpretation for the coin I showed you, which was Dogecoin or DOGE coin, was classified as a meme coin, but has now kind of morphed into something that could be used for payments in the future, and it's being helped along with its legitimacy by Elon Musk. So that one I still classify as the first meme coin, but it may not be a meme coin anymore. In this scene, the masked figure who's dancing around, acting crazy, jumping about and stuff like that, seems to be depicting, among other things, the meme coin craze. So first mask he's wearing is SHIBA, and I think that has a not grammatical, but maybe a phonetical connection to SHIBA. They just sound the same, one letter difference in them. SHIBA. So thinking of it from a cryptocurrency blockchain perspective, that could be a valid interpretation, especially since the next scene, not this one, this is just the SHIBA token, doesn't look anything like it, just put it there for no reason. The next one, the next mask that the character wears is a frog mask, and Dogecoin was the first hype token. There's been thousands, but only a few really make it to the top of the meme coin craze. So Dogecoin was one, which is probably no longer. SHIBA was the second one. Now we have a token called PEPE, which is represented by the image of a frog. It's a cartoon character from the past. I think it's a French cartoon character, but I think that's what that is depicting. So SHIBA, PEPE, and then the next mask the character wears is a bear mask. And I don't know if that's signifying a future bear themed token after PEPE, or if it's indicating after PEPE comes a bear market, which basically means people start selling all their stuff. And obviously if that has any connection to the events that I talked about yesterday in terms of an attack on Iran and stuff like that, that could happen. It could also be connected to the Bitcoin interpretation I've done today, which then we won't be looking at that until 2024 for the Bitcoin halving around that time, for that scenario of the Bitcoin network exploding or not working for some reason. Aside from that, there is nothing else. We should be very careful with the technology. It can be used for good, but it can be used for evil too. It clearly has connections to the Mark of the Beast system, so for that reason alone, we should be very cautious in dealing with it. But we also need to recognize that there is nothing that any individual person can do to stop what is coming. We would have to come together as a unit to try and stop what is happening, which is difficult and very hard. We are up against wickedness and rulers in high places, which is why what we really need to do is re-examine our relationships with our Heavenly Father and make sure that they're right. When we do wrong, to ask for forgiveness. And though we may not always walk the path the Heavenly Father has laid out for us, there is no stopping us from returning to it at any point in time. He is loving, He is forgiving, but I do fear that that time will not go on forever, and we are swiftly approaching biblical prophecy. With that said, you guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.